What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony, Lori, and Mike, and we are discussing Season 3, Episode 5 of The Boys. And it is post Soldier Boy. He is out in the world. It's too early. It's too early.
Every time his name's mentioned.
I'm gonna start calling him Dean 2.0 then. just so I don't have to. Oh my God, no. So anyway, post Russia, or I guess we're still in Russia. Kimiko is not healing from the attack by Dean 2.0. But the interesting thing that we're starting out this episode with is there are tapes of the experiments that the Russians did to Soldier Boy. And, Marvin is watching this to see, I guess just maybe to see what they're dealing with.
Just getting the feel for him. Like,
right.
What are we up against? For real.
Let me tell you, after seeing what they did to him, I don't blame him for sticking that whatever it was he stuck in that scientist's neck. He deserved it. I mean, the test that they ran on this dude, like, I know he's a soup and I know he has like super strength, and apparently he's kind of sort of maybe not immortal, but he doesn't age the way other people do. We find that out later on in the episode. Like, he's technically in his 60s, maybe now at this point he might be about in his 80s or 90s, and he hasn't aged, kind of similar to Stormfront, but
like they shot him in the mouth with an AK-47.
Him in the mouth,
not just one round, not just two rounds, they let like loose. A clip.
Yeah, they emptied the clip in it. I was like, damn, like, what the fuck?
They pulled out his eyeball, or they cut into his cornea to try to see if his eyes healed. It was just, you always hear about inhumane human experiments and torture and all this other stuff. I don't even think, I'm sorry, whatever he does to them, they wholeheartedly deserve it. They wholeheartedly deserve it. But they screwed him up. They screwed him up because, of course, he gets out of Russia and comes to the States, happens to be in the same city as the rest of them. Like, how? Well, I guess because he was going to look for a particular person, the legend. And we'll talk. You know what? Let's talk about the legend first. Let's get that out the way.
He's hilarious.
Paul motherfucking Reiser.
He is hilarious. I love Paul Reiser. He's good at whatever he does.
I was looking at all those pictures and I'm like, those are probably real. They probably didn't have to CGI half those pictures.
No,
like,
he said it in the interview that they are photoshopped. He did say it in the interview. They are photoshopped, but
it's like, I could believe, like, I was looking at him, I was like, that's probably him. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's him. But it's like
took a whole bunch of his old photos and kind of spliced them together with other photos, which was fun. But I can honestly say I don't think I've ever seen him in a role like this, and it was so fun because he's very he's non-censored. He has no filter.
He has no filter.
He says whatever the fuck he wants to say. And a lot of it is like you hear the term clutch your pearls. I was looking, now I've been watching The Boys since the premiere of season 1. And I'm sitting here listening to him like, oh, hey, wait, what? Yeah, he was vulgar and he was unapologetically an asshole, and it was so much fun to watch. But here's the interesting thing about it for me. We know how Marvin feels about the soups and everything. When they go to the Legends apartment, he greets Marvin like an old friend, and Marvin gives him a hug. And it's like, even though he knows that the legend was the person who covered up his family's deaths or the way that, you know, Soldier Boy killed them, he still seems to be okay with this dude. So, you know, that kind of got me to thinking.
I think he was a snitch. I think he was giving them information on after he was ousted. He was probably giving them information about Soups to help take him down.
And
that's probably how he knows all them.
Yeah, and I get that, because he did say something about the legend helped us out from time to time.
Yeah. And he probably felt bad about what happened with Mother's Milk family. It's possible that he was trying to atone for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I can.
But I do believe he was a snitch. I do believe that, because they're Mother's Milk and Butcher are talking to him like they really know him, like they're buddies. So he was snitching.
Right. So that's the kind of thing. But I mean, even with that, a person who is a snitch does not necessarily become your friend. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
look at how charismatic he is. I mean, how can this confidential informant not become your friend? I guess calling him a snitch would be, you know, degrading to him. He's a confidential informant.
Okay.
Okay, an opportunistic provider of information.
But the funny thing about that too is, did that scene make y'all feel old because he was naming names and celebrities and Hughie was like, who?
When you said Shannon Tweed, I was like, oh my God.
Kelly LeBrock for me.
Kelly LeBrock.
You know, yeah, big L, big D,
little everything else. I was like,
oh my God, the Marlon Brando story, like, oh my God.
That probably wouldn't have been too far from the truth if that was if he was a real person from the stories that I've heard. And the other thing is, he was like, when he was telling the story and Marvin was looking at him, he was like, what? So that's gay now? Fuck you, whatever. I was like, oh my God, he is so unapologetically whatever. He says whatever he wants to say. He doesn't care what anybody has to say about it. And he's like where we all want to be when we get older. He's that get off my lawn type of person, where he's like, you know what? I have lived enough life and I have done enough shit. I'm gonna say whatever the fuck I want to say. Y'all can't do a damn thing about it. I loved his character. He was so much fun. And when he took that doggone prosthetic, he looked like he was about to hit Hughie with it. I was like, what else are y'all gonna do with this character? He was great. Like I said, I've never seen Paul Reiser in a role like that. Like, I've seen him as kind of sort of, even though I have seen him as like a bad guy. But most recently, you know, we talked about this when he showed up. We were like, oh my God, is Paul Reiser in everything now? Because he's also in Stranger Things and has been for the last 2 seasons. So I'm just like, it's so funny because you see him on the one show and he's this government person who is really trying to help Elle, you know, stay away from the government, you know, the people that are trying to take her and exploit her. So he's so good on the other hand. And then you see him in this. And this episode, you know, these episodes aired right around the same time that Stranger Things 4 dropped. So it's like you look at him one and he's just this really good person who might have some ulterior motives, but they're not necessarily evil ulterior motives. And then you see him here and he's like so opposite. So good. I loved it.
Disgustingly fantastic. Like,
I loved it.
Incredible.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
You don't know who this is? Go read a book.
But it's like the whole thing is he knew who Roy Scheider was. Out of all the people he was asked about, he knew who Roy Scheider was.
He probably knows Jaws.
Still. I mean, I don't know. This seems funny as shit though. I mean, him looking and saying, like the whole Kelly LeBrock thing. It's like, I mean, he the look of disgust he had at Hughie when he wasn't impressed by his stories was just top notch. Like, geez almighty.
He was like, you never heard of her either? Go Google it. And he's just sitting there doing cocaine just right in front of them, like not hiding it, not just whatever. He's just like,
Hughie's like, no, thank you. I'm full.
I'm full
of cocaine. Like, what? I was like, he's so awkward. Like, oh God.
That poor child. But anyway, so they go to see the legend because, as I mentioned, Soulja Boy has shown up in town and he's walking down the street it's so funny watching him walk down the street too, because of course he's been on ice since the early 80s. Everything that's going on around him, he has no clue. So he's looking at somebody talk on a cell phone. He's looking at all of these different people of these different nationalities. And again, we talked about Soulja Boy in the last couple of episodes where he's like that, the epitome of toxic masculinity in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So he's walking around looking at, people who look different from him or who come from like the Eastern countries that back then, he, as far as he knows, we were at war with, which, didn't change much in.
No, it's like the look he had his face when the gay couple passed him.
That too.
Like,
he was just like,
oh, that's what we're doing now? Okay.
He was just like, and then he's looking at all the stuff. You see the billboard, or rather the moving ad on the bus with, Dawn of the Seven, and then you see the Brave Maeve thing, and you see Homelander. He's like, what the fuck? Because of course this has changed from the time that he and Payback were the popular team. Like they probably still had a little bit of that popularity, and of course we know that a lot of their stuff got covered up, which is what Vaught's still doing, but they didn't have social media back then. It wasn't about numbers and profit margins and all this, not in that sense. So all of this is new to him. So he's walking around trying to figure things out. And as he's walking, there is I think it's like either a food truck or some kind of truck that's playing some Russian instrumental music or something. And it's almost
like Russian pop.
Yeah. And it's like it triggers him, and you see him starting to like hyperventilate, and he's starting to lose it. And you see the pebbles on the ground start to go towards him. And I was like, oh, he's about to lose it. And then some guy in front of him, hey, dude, are you okay? I was like, dude, you're about to be burnt. Boom. Yep. Burnt to a crisp. Like there is nothing left of that dude.
He clearly, Soulja Boy clearly has PTSD. Like that music was a definite
trigger.
Oh, Russia.
Yeah.
Boom.
Russian music just like sets him off.
And the damage there was way worse than what he did in Russia, because like he literally blew the front off an entire building, and not only blew the front off, he blew through the building so that the upper back had a hole in it. You could see straight through it. Yeah, that's not what we need in the city right now. But it appears it does have Starlight spooks, but Homelander, when he's, seeing the broadcast on the news, he's got the tinnitus going, the ringing in his ears. And it's like, I think he's worried. And I'm like, ooh, is this something that's going to be the thing to take down Homelander? Because obviously.
But at this point, he doesn't know who it is or what it is.
He doesn't know who it is or what it is, but he knows that it's some kind of soup. Something. Because even on the footage, even though Soulja Boy was in the upper part of the frame, you could clearly see it was a guy, and then this blast kind of come out of him and then surround everything. So it has to be some kind of soup. And last season we did deal with soup terrorists. So Homelander might be thinking, okay, this might be a soup terrorist, but when you see the kind of damage that he's done, you gotta think he might be kind of worried, like, I've never heard of this person before. What's going on? You know, and even in the interviews that he's doing, it's suggested that this is something that Stan Edgar probably came up with to kind of discredit him. And it kind of seems like that might rattle him a little bit. Like for the first time, he has no idea what's going on. We've been talking about how Homelander has pretty much had his ear to the ground, and everything that people have been doing in secret behind his back, he's been figuring out.
Well, he's either known about it or been a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even when he was planting the V in the other countries, like he was doing that on his own, but that was his plan.
Yeah.
They think he knows about things, then this is something he has no idea.
Nope.
Like, he don't know what the fuck this is.
Right. and if you don't know what's going on, you're going to be a little bit scared. I don't care how strong you are, because now something is going on that is out of your control.
Maybe worried. I wouldn't say scared.
Not yet.
Not yet. I would say worried, not scared.
Yeah. But okay. We'll come back to Homelander. Where do I want to go next? I'm trying to think.
Mother's Milk about to go ballistic on Peter or whatever, Tom, whatever his name is.
Oh my God.
We have talked about this. This is going to be I think this is going to be a constant thing until the end of the season, with Todd and this obsession with Homelander.
I told you, I feel like he's a plant. Do you see all of that Homelander stuff Janine has? Monique didn't buy that shit.
No, I think he's just one of those.
Yeah, I think it's just like,
zealous.
It's such a parallel to like Homelander basically being Homelander and like everything, and like Trump and Fox News, and it's like almost a direct correlation. It's like, if I had a child, I wouldn't want my child watching any Fox News bullshit either. So it's like, because you can tell, like, the way that he talked about it, like he was talking like he was brainwashed by like the whole thing. Like he sounded like he literally sounded like he was in a cult. Like, no, but he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I'm like,
and he's a fucking teacher.
Yeah, that part. Like, really? You're in charge of the future? No, man, that's not.
I really think he's also there. I'm still go back to, he used to show with the other extreme of what Mother's Milk is. Like, he's on one end of the spectrum, Mother's Milk is on the opposite end of the spectrum. You get one that hates soups, and soups are the worst, and the other person's soups are gods. So you have the two extremes, being shown to us
right
here. And layer that on top of the comparisons to Make America Great Again.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I don't think he's a plant. It's too much of a contrivance for it to be him to be such the polar opposite of Mother's Milk.
Yeah,
I get it.
But it's like he's so inundated with it. It's like Mother's Milk already doesn't like him. It's like when he comes to the door, he's just like, Todd. Like if he smiled any tighter, he probably would have cracked a couple of teeth. Like, he was like, Todd.
Hi, Todd. Damn. Yeah.
He could have strung him up right there. He really, and that was before all the other stuff occurred. Todd just rubs him the wrong way.
Todd rubs me the wrong way. Like, why is he here? Go somewhere. Bye. Go find somebody else to idolize Homelander with, because you are not doing it for me. Like, I don't know what Monique saw in this guy, and
he's rubbing up on Monique the right way.
Is he though? Is he?
I don't know.
They're married. They're married, and she is where she is. He's doing something right.
Maybe he gets really well. Maybe they have sex while he's watching. He's looking at a picture of Homelander above their bed, and it's like he's just like, he's like pretending he's Homelander and she's Stormfront. I don't know. I mean, he's just like.
I know we've beat this horse to death, but like, she just chose someone who is totally the opposite.
Yeah, she chose poorly,
and I can understand.
And I think she
choosing
did it.
someone.
I don't think
that's
she
the
did
opposite.
it. I don't think she did it consciously. I just think she subconsciously, went into this relationship because it was someone who she knew was safe and was not going to be like Mother's Milk.
But even with that,
she doesn't see that he's the
standards.
Same. He's the same as Mother's Milk, just on the opposite end.
You gotta still have standards, though. There is nothing about Todd.
He's a teacher. He's a nice guy. I mean, he's, not wearing NWA t-shirts. I mean, he's a complete opposite. He's safe.
That's a red flag right there. He doesn't wear hip hop t-shirts. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, no, that's a red flag. Like, where's your Stakes is High t-shirt? Who Stakes is High? Red flag. You gotta go. No.
And then that whole thing where he was like, "Hey, Marvin, you want to watch your language in front of the kid?" And he was like, "She's not the kid. She's my daughter." I was like, "Oh, here it goes." Right. What was it that Lori asked last week? She was like, "Do you think that Todd would actually like try to tell Mother's Milk that he wants to no?" Because even now he's trying to make it seem like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be the responsible parent here. You need to stop talking like that around my kid. And Mother's Milk is like, no, hold up. I really thought Todd was going to get punched this time. He can't. I think he came close.
Well, all I'm saying is that if a brother's rocking an NWA shirt, you might not want to say something to him. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
When the brother is as big as Marvin is, you may want to watch your words around.
When a brother is as big as Marvin and he's rocking an NWA t-shirts, maybe you might not want to like set off the nigga with attitude. I'm just saying, he's got it on his shirts.
Right.
You might want to.
You may not want to poke the bear?
No.
Not playing with fire? All those cliches?
Let's not do that.
One of them.
No, here you go. Nope. Nope.
Speaking of poking the bear and stoking the fires, I did not have Butcher and Maeve hate banging on my bingo card for this year.
Man, listen.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Especially after they're sitting there like pulling off of a bottle of vodka, and Butcher's literally telling her that, yeah, you and your kind, we have to kill all of y'all.
Like all soups must die.
She sits up and she rolls her head. Yeah, like she literally like sat up, rolled her head towards him, and started kissing him. I'm like,
and I understand they were all like, oh, I'm sorry. Marvin had on a Stop the Violence t-shirt, which makes that scene even more funny because I really felt like he was going to hit Todd. But anyway, going back to Maeve and Butcher, it's like, it was already weird seeing them like co-conspire this season. I still never thought it was going to come to a whole them hooking up type of thing. Once they started drinking, though, I was like, oh, wait.
All bets are off.
Nah, they wouldn't do this. They've already established to us that even though Maeve is bi, I think she's more lesbian than anything. I was like, and then it's Billy Butcher. He wants to kill all soups. Why would she even consider that? Nope, I was wrong.
He literally just told her, all of you have to fucking go. Yeah, every single one of you. And she's like, oh, okay. And then they bang. Like, wow.
And not just like this little casual bang. They were like going.
They were slamming each other around. Like Butcher had her against the wall. Then she's like, whoop, boom, slammed him against the wall. Then Butcher was on top. Then she like, whoop, boom, sat him on the desk and got on top. And I was like,
I felt like I needed a cigarette after that scene.
Yeah,
it's like, wait, I didn't know that in him.
I was watching the episode again today, and I forgot the scene happened, and it caught me completely by
How'd
surprise.
you forget
whoa.
that happened?
What is
Of all things that happened in this series, how do you forget that happened?
I just did.
Like,
I mean,
I just did.
I'm not saying I didn't. I'm not saying I'm mad at him. I mean,
I kind of saw it when she first started like coming to him undercover, because I was like, this has all the makings of a sneaky link. Like her coming with a trench coat on, with her hair all up so no one really can see it that it's her, and
right.
like, you know, sliding him stuff. It's like, this is a sneaky link. Like, why does this look like? It's like he offered it to her. She says, "I'm 4 months sober." He's like, "I'm a year," and she's like,
okay.
And there we go. Like, as soon as he started drinking, I was like, yeah, they're fucking.
And the thing is, I thought that too when they started drinking. I was like, oh, this is totally going to end up as a hookup. But I thought it was going to be one of those scenes where one of them comes at the other, and the other person is like, "What are you doing?" And they kind of back off. I was not expecting that, but I'm not mad at it either. Like, okay, it works for me in a weird way.
Yeah, but
I'm not really watching it, but I was reading the subtitles, and I think what set him off was she challenged him. She's like, "Oh, you still think you're too good for me?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, let me show you." And that's how that happened.
Right, because she was taking lead on that.
Yeah.
Like, she was like, "Okay, I'm in charge here." I was like, "Okay, go, you go, girl." So, I mean, and I'm gonna be honest, that's the first assertive thing I've really seen her do in this series.
Assertive, yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
That's a good way of putting it.
I mean, seriously, because my one main complaint about Maeve is that for her to be someone who is basically second in command to Homelander, she's supposed to be the second most important suit. They haven't really given us much as far as her character goes. And I feel like, I don't want to say I don't like her character just because her character is bland, but I feel like there's so much more they could be doing with the character and they're not doing it. So it's kind of hard
they gave us a lot of her, with her and what she's going through with her wife and stuff. And we got her at the tail end of her deciding that she was done.
Yeah.
So when we came into her story, her arc, she was pretty much done. And then what happened with her and her wife pretty much killed it for her.
Yeah.
So there really isn't much more left as story writers to give you about her when you have all this other stuff going on with Homelander and Butcher and Starlight and Hughie and Frenchie and Kimiko. There's a whole lot of other stuff that's going on where we're pretty much finished with her story arc.
Yeah.
Wherever she needs to go. She's already, this is rock bottom for her. You thought it was rock bottom when she lost her wife, but this is rock bottom right here.
It's rock bottom-ish. Shout out to them using the song by the Kinks. It's like, but it's like the song, when you listen to the song, I love the song too. It's like, "Girl, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing." I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good choice. It was a good choice.
I mean, yes, I mean, and I'm surprised it didn't break the desk. I was literally expecting that desk to like fall apart. I was expecting them to put holes in the wall. And I was expecting it to be like, have y'all ever seen my crazy super ex-girlfriend? It had like,
it
had like Luke Wilson.
Uma Thurman.
Luke Wilson and what's one of the,
yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I just haven't seen it.
It's like, and there's like any movie where you have like a soup like having sex with like a normal person, whole lot of shit ends up getting broken. Like, and luckily not the person. It's like, I think that he must have still had a little bit of V in him, so that she could like kind of manhandle him a little bit.
Oh no, she was totally holding back. She probably would have broke him in two if she was with the, like I said, that was pure hate bang. If she was going at it full strength, she would have broke Butcher in two. Yeah. She was holding back. That's all right. She got it out of her system. He got it out of his system. Okay, now y'all can go about your business and do what you're supposed to be doing. But that scene was very, very interesting. Let's see.
I guess we have to talk about the musical.
Well, since I know that's your least favorite part of the episode, we'll wait until towards the end for your negativity, because we have a lot of other stuff to talk about. Where do you want to go? Do we want to go to the deep, or do we want to go to A Train?
Let's go ahead and talk about A Train, because this shit pissed me. I was so fucking mad at this whole series of events. Like the whole, even from when he was in her office talking to him, to that bullshit apology that he gave. Like, I mean,
what apology? He was reading from a piece of paper. That was no apology.
Yeah,
you talking about Blue Hawk?
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That was not an apology. Hello, Trenton. I just want to say that I mean, that was not.
And I'm gonna give you guys $10,000. Thank you, and get ready to go. And he's like, "All lives matter. All lives matter. Soup lives matter." And then he started throwing people. I'm like,
well, the thing that really gets me is that the only reason why he's doing all this is he's scared of Homelander.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's the only reason, because Homelander, I guess he feels like he owes A Train something for snitching on
Alex.
So he, and Starlight. So I guess he owes him something. So he's tossing him a bone. Blue Hawk is scared. So he's doing this because he doesn't want the shit brought down on him from Homelander.
You know, the other thing I thought too, I'm thinking that maybe because of the way, when he came into Ashley's office, he was kind of like, why the fuck am I here? He had that kind of attitude, and that Ashley was looking at him like, shut the fuck up, because, she's the new CEO now. I have a feeling they may have promised him a spot on the 7 if he just did this one thing.
Oh, they didn't promise him nothing on the 7.
You don't think so?
No,
I think they probably
I swear she said, didn't she say something about Homelander in that meeting to him? I have to look, but I think she said something.
Homelander would really appreciate it. But right. I feel like maybe they probably, not saying that they were going to give it to him, but they probably used that to get him in there. Like, yeah, if you do this, if you take this meeting, we might,
Ashley ain't that
doing a favor for Homelander. If you do a favor for Homelander, maybe he'll reciprocate later.
No, Ashley ain't that smart. Ashley's gonna dangle Homelander in front of him and be like, "You better do what we ask," because Homelander says you have to do this.
I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt.
No, don't. You are always trying to give people the benefit of the doubt who don't deserve it. She don't deserve it. She's not that bright.
But you know what? Sometimes when I do, my little, it turns out to be right. So you never know. I mean,
Blue Hawk can give 2 flying fracks about any of this shit.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for Homelander.
Yeah.
He read the apology like he's doing it because he has to, not because he wants to.
Yeah,
it's not even like he's doing it as a favor. He's just doing it because, oh God, I have to do this because otherwise I don't want to be on Homelander's bad side. Like he doesn't know. First of all, we know that everybody doesn't know how terrible Homelander is.
Right.
Let's put that. Majority of the people, majority of the suits, they don't know that Homelander is a psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
What they do know is that Homelander is the idol. Homelander is the god. So if Homelander says, go ahead and do this apology, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah. Yep. But that apology. So basically what happens is, while we're talking around it, Blue Hawk has agreed to go to the community center in the neighborhood where he curb stomped the guy to death to make an apology to, the neighborhood. And it just happens to be A Train's brother's community center, the community center that he runs or works at. And so Blue Hawk gives this, I can't even call it a half-assed apology. It's like a quarter assed apology.
An eighth assed apology.
An eighth assed apology where he's reading literally from a piece of paper and just reading word for word, no emotion, no actual real remorse. And he's like, yeah, like you said, he's like, oh, and to show how committed I am, blah, 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 I'll, give $10,000. And so, of course, the community starts speaking up. Well, what about such and such that you killed? And he was like, well, he was a criminal. He was like, they were like, he was unarmed. He was like, well, I just happen to, I supervise, or I work in the neighborhoods that have crime, and it just so happens that Black neighborhoods are proportionately more criminal. And then, of course, this opens up a debate. People start getting upset, and things start getting out of hand. And then
this was not a debate. This was an argument.
Well, yeah.
There was no debate here. It's like he was like, yeah, well, I go with her. He was stuttering. I just go to crime. The crime happens to be in Black neighborhoods. It's like his whole reasoning was just like, oh God, like he's like,
I don't want my actions to come across as racist. You can ask my friend. When he said you can ask my friends, I put my head in my hand and said, please don't go the whole I have Black friends route. And of course, exactly. He said, you can ask my friends, most of them who are Black, like A-Train. And I know A-Train was like, man, please don't pull me in this. Don't just. But this is what you did, A-Train. You were the one who brought this mess in here, thinking that this was gonna, like you told your brother. You said you wanted me to use my influence to help the neighborhood. This is what I do. You don't bring a suit there to make an apology with a camera guy. One, that's not sincere at all. But like A-Train said, hey, y'all get your apology. Vought gets good PR. Everybody's happy. No, because the PR that y'all ended up getting is not the PR y'all really wanted. Because of course, arguments, then like you said, they go through the whole Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Soup Lives Matter, and then he starts calling them names. Then he freaks out and starts attacking people, like literally throwing people against walls, until A-Train has to come over and kind of shake him and be like, yo, dude, what's wrong with you? I'm sorry. If I was A-Train, there would not have been a, yo, dude, what's wrong with you? He would have been getting his ass whooped. You are throwing people across the room. And then, of course, after Blue Hawk kind of hightails it out of there, A-Train looks on the ground and his brother is injured and unconscious. And turns out, yeah, Blue Hawk tossed around your brother like a rag doll, and now he's paralyzed. He will never walk again. How's that publicity working for you now?
I'm looking at it again. It's like, I don't even see where his brother got hurt. Like,
he probably when he was throwing people, he probably threw somebody into Reggie, and it was just one of those things because there was a lot of chaos going on. So not Reggie, Nate. So Nate may have been hit while he was throwing other people around, or he could have gotten knocked to the ground and stomped as people were trying to get out of the room. I don't think we'll ever really know one way or the other, but the only thing we need to know is that because of Blue Hawk's actions, now A-Train's brother will never walk again.
And I see it. Yeah, when the first guy he threw, like, granted, like hit him in the back and knocked him down.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So, and it's like, God, it's like he's obviously, it's like Blue Hawk is like a combination of short person. Like a short person stuff and roid rage.
No, we all know who Blue Hawk represents. I mean, you just look at his costume and we know who he represents. And that rage monster that comes out of those dudes is what you see right here. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. Innocent Black people get hurt. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, sometimes the writers in this show, because they did it a lot in the first season, they haven't done it as much. but this definitely stands out as one of those moments where you are definitely seeming to be making a statement about something.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the interview, he's like, "Yeah, fucking Antifa came in here and did all this other stuff," and I'm like,
with a gun, just totally
real,
lying.
for
And then
real.
he has the nerve to say, you would think I came in here to help this neighborhood and donate money, and this is the things that I get. I was like,
Yeah, because that's what they sound like when they talk about
mm-hmm.
the crap they
exactly
do.
Yeah.
This is saying they lie. I'm gonna stop. Let me stop. Milton hat, stay over there.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the show, is to pull, to kind of show those parallels and even though this is a fictional story, there are a lot of real life scenarios in this show. And I think it is to get people talking, to get us to pull that militant hat and see the kind of injustices and the kind of bullshit that we deal with on a regular basis. So,
and plus, it's like you notice that when he's like doing his little apology and all this other stuff, he's kind of stuttering and stuff. But when he does the press where he's talking, like where he says the whole Antifa shit, he's speaking extremely calm. He's throwing all of his little points out, and he's not hesitating or anything like that. I'm just like
yeah, it's harder to get through a lie than it is the truth. Even though we know that what he said didn't happen,
or what he believes is the truth.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Man, that whole scene just pissed me the fuck off.
But okay, so now we'll come back to A-Train, but we've been talking about A-Train the last couple of episodes, and again, another reason why I feel like he does not deserve a redemption arc. He does not. He is just
I still want to. It's like, I think the whole thing is I like Jesse Usher as like an actor. Like I think he's cool.
Him, yes.
He's cool, but it's like I look at him like I'm trying to separate the two. Yeah,
we're not talking about Jesse Usher. We're talking about A-Train. A-Train is trash. He is garbage. He does not need a redemption arc.
I'm starting to agree with you, Hanko. I'm starting to think that I think they're trying to make this character irredeemable.
Garbage.
I'm starting to believe that they're gonna make. I'm like Mike at first. I was hoping he was gonna be redeemable. I was hoping that this would be a redemption arc for at least one character. I don't think that's gonna work for this show. I think this
not
show,
for A-Train, no.
I don't think it's going to work for this show. I think he's going to be
the way that the show is going, if anybody gets a redemption arc, is going to be the Deep, which he's garbage too.
He's garbage, and that would bother me so much.
It
Deep gets a redemption.
But the other thing too, but the difference between the two, I feel like, is the Deep, for the most part, is being controlled. Like even the stuff he's doing now, that wife of his is controlling him. Cassandra is controlling him. Before it was her, it was the church. And before it was the church, it was his own insecurities and feeling like he has to overdo everything to make up for how insecure he was about himself and his body and his sexual inferiority, whatever you want to call it. So I don't think he deserves a redemption arc, but I feel like they're going to give him one because he's not the one in control of all of that for the most part.
But you can say the same thing about A-Train.
No, A-Train is just selfish.
But A-Train was a junkie. A-Train is a junkie. A-Train is an addict. And addicts tend to do things based on their addiction. And remember, he's basically on the road to recovery. He's basically going through trying to undo the damage he did as an addict. So,
but he's doing worse stuff now.
Yeah,
because
but
all of this stuff
that's the
now.
thing. That's what I'm saying. Like you would think he should be on the track to figuring this out, trying to make up for what he did as an addict, because he killed his girlfriend. That was an accident. Causing what's her name, Claw or whatever her
Pop
name
Claw.
was, overdosing. He killed her. That was the addiction doing that. So the things he was doing was based on his addiction. Addiction takes over you and it makes you very selfish, very self-centered, because you're all about chasing that high. That's what he was doing. Now he has a different thing he's trying to chase. And people who are like that, they still tend to be self-destructive, just in a different way. So he's still causing damage because he never fixed the original problem. And so he and the Deep are very similar in that respect. They have a lot of self-esteem issues. They have a lot of, like, the Deeps may be sexual addiction, but it's still an addiction. They still have these issues that they're dealing with. It's just that I think the Deep's problems are a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say weird, but his problems tend to be more he's more purposeful in his issues.
Okay, yeah.
His is more intentional. He can make a choice to not do some of the stuff he's doing. A-Train, I don't think, because of how he's built and because of his addiction, he doesn't really have a choice. He's trying to do things that he really shouldn't be doing. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yeah,
but
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
They are real. They're just built differently. They function differently, and that's how he's functioning because he's never fixed his problem.
Okay, I get it. Makes sense. I still don't think either one of them deserve a redemption arc, but I have a feeling the Deep is going to be the one to get it.
And that would make me mad.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But trying to think, where should we go? I guess we'll go ahead and talk about the musical, because we do need to talk about Soulja Boy and Crimson Countess, and I think
oh my god,
I think that deserves let's go ahead and get the musical out the way, because we know Anthony does not like musical episodes.
Okay.
I've got rhythm. I've got
do
music.
not like musical episodes. However, I don't consider this a musical episode because it was just one number in context.
Okay.
So I was perfectly fine with it.
Okay.
I was actually fine with it. The only thing, and I know you guys are going to jump on me about this. It was a little difficult watching Frenchie try to dance to these numbers. Just a little bit. I was hurting for him.
He's not a dancer. He has said he is not a dancer, and I think
the commitment.
But yes, he looked like he sold it. He tried his best, and I give him credit for that. Yeah, he really put his entire
he committed wholeheartedly to it.
He really did.
You can see it in his face, like he was doing like dancing face. He was like,
he had the jazz hands. He was really
he was into it. I was like,
I'll give him that.
All right, Frenchie, go ahead.
And I was still hurting for him. I was still hurting for him.
But I think too, the thing that I liked about it was that it wasn't a perfectly choreographed number. Like, it was her imagination, and it was just, I loved it. I thought it was very fun. It was very quirky. You know,
like I said, it didn't bother me at all. I liked it.
Cool. Okay, yay. But yeah, so Kimiko is actually in the hospital, because again, her suit powers have not healed. And when she finally does wake up, she realizes that she hasn't healed. She doesn't have her super strength. And that's when she realizes, hey, I don't have my powers anymore. You know, I'm a normal person. And she's actually happy about this, because again, she never asked for the compound V. She never asked for powers. And you know, Shining Light, when they gave them to her to create a monster, to create a weapon. And so for now, the fact that she is no longer that weapon, she's like, oh yeah, I'll take this wound because that means I'm not a monster anymore. And so we see her, I think, happier than we've seen her in this whole entire series. You know, she's sitting there, she's with Frenchie, they're watching a movie, and then, you know, she tries to speak and she actually utters 3 words, and Frenchie's looking at her like, what? And then they go into the musical. I was like, she didn't utter those words. That was an imagination, because I really want Kimiko to talk. But yeah, so they go into this cute little musical number. It's fun. It's very colorful. It's very unlike any of the dark shit that we've seen in this episode so far. And then at the end of the number, they kiss. Finally.
But
it's kind of weird.
It was weird because like Frenchie was like, oh, whoa. And it's like he like raised his eyebrows and was kind of looking at her like, I don't know what to do.
Like, I'm going to get coffee. Do you want some coffee? I'm going to get coffee. I'll be back. I'm going to get coffee. And she's looking like, okay. But it was one of those things where it was like, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It's like, it's a moment that you wait for so long. And then when it finally happens, it's almost like it, I don't know. I kind of felt like the way that they reacted to each other, it was probably strange for them.
It was like they were in high school almost, you know, like, you know, kind of like that.
Kind of like, okay, I kissed you because I liked you, but is this, right. It's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like kissing someone and it's not the same expectation that you thought. Like, you thought that you like this person or you love this person, and when you kiss them, it's like, oh my God, I feel like I kissed my brother. Like, pretty much something like that. I've actually had an experience like that. It's weird. It's one of those, and you look at her face and it's just kind of like, Anthony is looking at me confused. It's like somebody that I was interested in, and then the moment we tried to hook up or whatever, it was like, it's like if you are with someone and the universe is telling you with every fiber of their being, you are not supposed to be with this person at all. It was one of those experiences. Like, I kissed him and I was like, oh, that didn't feel right. Yeah, we're not going to do that again. That's kind of what I looked at. Like, when they did it, it's like, yay, I want them together, but it was strange. Almost like maybe they had been platonic friends too long, and now it's like when they try to,
before they got to the kids.
Right, and it's like when you try to take that next step, it's like, maybe we're better friends. That sort of thing.
Well, before we move on, I just want to say I did say something about Frenchie dancing. Can I just give her props, because she carried that number from beginning to
end. She was amazing. Yes,
she was incredible.
I love her. She's awesome.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah,
I just want to give her props.
They culminate that kiss with, like I said, Frenchie going to get coffee, and what had happened earlier before Kimiko had woken up is that Frenchie walks into the room and little Nina is there. And of course, little Nina is disappointed at the way things went down in Russia. She's like, you know, there's 10 people dead. Some of my contacts are missing. A super secret lab has been destroyed. You know, so you've got to make up for this. And Frenchie is like, I didn't come to you. Butcher came to you. Take it up with him. She was like, I don't know, Butcher. I know you. You introduced us. So it's your problem fixed. So she basically gives him an assignment. There's a man and his daughter that she wants killed. And she was like, you do this by the end of the day. And Frenchie's like, no, I'm not doing this. And she was like, yeah, you are. And she leaves out. So when he leaves after the kiss, he goes to get the coffee, and he's been ignoring her phone calls all day because he's been with Kimiko. He's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to kill anybody. So
well, hold on. Can I say this about little Nina first?
Yes.
She's so freaking manipulative, because you have a Russian oligarch killed. A Russian oligarch. What do you think gonna happen? People gonna try to figure out what happened. Heads is gonna roll. People gonna disappear. So, I mean, and what do you think? Butcher was just gonna go over there and pick some flowers? Like, you know, they was going over there to do some shit.
Mhm.
So
He
you
he's
just
like,
being
he's gonna
manipulative.
clean, he didn't go clean up after himself. It's like he was like gonna kill him, then knock something over, be like, oh wait, let me set that back up, let me dust it off real quick so
Right.
no one knows I was here. Like,
Right.
no, that's not what
But
happened.
what did you think was gonna happen if Russian Ogre gets killed? I mean, what did you think was gonna happen? Your contacts are gonna disappear because people are gonna want to know what happened. They probably all knew you wanted the motherfucker dead. So come on now.
Yeah, they're probably
Exactly.
yeah.
It's like contacts disappear, soldiers get killed, dildos get broken. I mean, stuff happens. It's like you just kind of have to deal with it and let's go on from there.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, of course she's just gonna be like, oh yeah, y'all owe me one. No, they really don't. You just being a bitch. That's all that is.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad for Hanako after. I mean, not Hanako, Kimiko. Damn it! I'm
The other
surprised.
Japanese
I
person.
gotta be honest. I'm surprised that I haven't done this in the 2 years that we've been covering this show. That's the first time I've actually mixed up Hanako and Kimiko, and like I'm surprised that's the first time that's happened. And
Yeah, not
maybe
me,
it's
the
'cause I'm
other
not.
Japanese person.
My bad. Maybe it's because I'm not drinking tonight. I must need to be drinking. But anyway, I felt so bad for Kimiko. Like she was sitting up in bed, waiting for him to come back, and looking at the clock, and I was like, "Oh man!"
Yeah, little Nina took my Frenchie. I'm mad.
Snatched him in the hospital.
She better not hurt him. That's all I gotta say.
I think that's a foregone conclusion. Like he gonna get a little hurt. He'll get kind of hurt.
But it sucks too because
Yeah.
he's gone and Kimiko does not have her powers. So even if she wanted to go save him, if she figured it out and wanted to go save him, there's nothing she can do at this point. She will probably get killed trying.
And she thinks it's because of the kiss.
Yeah.
Like, he got scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's such bad. But see, that's typical like movie timing. It's like where the couple that hasn't kissed in a while, they end up kissing, then one of them leaves, then something happens, and they're like, "Was it me? Did I do something wrong?" And it's like,
I would hope that she knows Frenchie well enough to know that he would not do that to her, that he wouldn't just ghost her.
I mean, he was acting weird when he left, so it's like,
yeah, but it could have just been one of those, okay, I need to get used to that. But enough for him to like be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna leave her and not say anything. Frenchie doesn't seem like that type of person. I hope that she knows that he's not that type of person. Like, I just need her to figure it out that something happened to him. And I mean, she'll probably figure it out the way that he was looking at his phone all day and kind of, ignoring what was going on. She'll probably figure it out. But just the fact that little Nina has my Frenchie, I have a problem with that. That bitch needs to die. No.
yeah, that's not gonna end well.
It really isn't. It isn't. But
because you can tell because the way she looked at him, like when her bodyguard spun him around and she walked up, like she just looked at him and was like, "Really, motherfucker? As you're not gonna do what I say? Well, you must have forgotten who I am. I need to remind you. Let's go."
Yeah, he's about to have some problems. So
yeah.
Not as many problems as Sir Comes a Lot.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and talk about that because
let's talk about my boy Seth Rogen with his special cameo appearance, baby. That's my dude. I love this.
Oh my goodness. So what we found out earlier in the episode, when Butcher, Hughie, and Marvin went to go visit the legend, is that Soldier Boy came to visit him to retrieve his super suit because he kept it for sentimental reasons, and also to get his girlfriend's address. So when Butcher's like, why is he going to see the Crimson Countess? Legend was like, I didn't get the feeling it was going to be a happy reunion. Which I was like, why wouldn't it be? And then the episode where he got taken started making a little more sense after seeing this scene. It's like when you go back and you rewatch it, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like her bad acting, like, they took him. I don't know why they took him.
I don't think it was just a bad acting just for that. Like her whole character is just Yeah,
my soldier boy.
Yeah, no.
No. Nope.
So he is going to see Crimson Countess, and Butcher and them have basically they're helping to set that up. But let's talk about the setup for this. So aside from saving chimps and performing in amusement parks, Crimson Countess has a, what is it called? Is it like Soup Porn Platinum? I guess it's like the soup version of OnlyFans or any other type of pay per minute.
I don't know
porn.
anything about what you're talking about.
You know what?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what any of that is. Like,
Liars, because you guys have said something
me.
about that before. So yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Whatever.
Educate me, please.
Wait, Anthony? Nope.
Okay, so basically what she's doing is she is performing kind of sort of sexual acts for money.
Kind of sort of.
Well, you know, I say kind of sort of because it was in the foreplay.
She had the anal beads. She had the anal beads over the candle, like I'm warming these.
Yes,
I'm warming these up.
But she was in the foreplay stage. She was in the like pre-stage. There wasn't any like penetration and that sort of thing yet. That's why I said kind of sort of.
Yet.
She's still in. Well, she's not going to get to it after what happened in this episode. So yeah, she's warming up, and
Sir Comes-a-Lot got to
Sir Comes-a-Lot, her client.
Yeah, she's definitely warming up, all right.
Sir Comes-a-Lot got to it. He got to the point real quick.
Yeah.
You would think that after Sausage Party, I would be able to look at Seth Rogen and be like, "Oh yeah, this is like run of the mill for him."
Yeah, exactly. Especially the last scene of Sausage Party, you're like, he can't top that. Like, there's no way he could do any worse than this.
You know,
I'm sitting up here trying to figure out who that was.
You didn't realize it was Seth Rogen?
No, I did not.
Really?
I'm not a Seth Rogen fan, and I didn't see Sausage Party, so I didn't know who he was.
Okay,
Lori, I'm just telling you now. Don't see Sausage Party. I think it's.
Lori, no, don't listen to her. Just watch the last scene of Sausage
Party. I don't think Lori can handle no.
You have to watch the whole movie for the last
scene to make sense. Yeah, no.
Sense.
Well, I Harold and Kumar just fine. I have those movies. I love those movies. So if it's like
no. Sausage Party is a whole different category.
No.
It's way different. Oh my God.
Category.
Think animated debauchery with supermarket foods and take it up 100.
Yeah,
and then take it up 100 more.
Yeah, think of the worst that you can imagine, and just know that is 10 times that.
Think of the Herogasm comic, but with supermarket foods.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not, but that's still funny.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. That's pretty much what it is.
Oh,
but yeah, Sir Comes-a-Lot. I can't say that with his
people will pay money just to hear Hanako say that.
Yeah, this is gonna be our best, our highest stream episode like ever.
What was that, Hanako? What did you say?
It's like this little 5-minute section is gonna be the most listened to. This is just gonna be rewinding and rewinding and rewinding. Okay, Hanako. Now say that again with feeling.
I hate y'all. Oh my God. I hate y'all. Oh, I hate y'all. How the fuck am I supposed to get through the rest of this episode? I hate you, Anthony. Okay, oh my God. You are banned from my office for 2 weeks. You cannot come to visit me. No.
Oh my God.
Okay. Anyway, Crimson Countess, her her session is interrupted by a visit from Butcher and Hughie and Mother's Milk. So yeah, they're basically, they attack her and they tie her up and they use her as bait because they know the Soldier Boy is coming for her, and they're like, yeah, you got a reunion coming up. Your boyfriend's back in town. She was like, how did he get away from the Russians? They're like, oh wait, you knew about this? Ah, the plot thickens. So
aha.
I'm sorry, I turned to my right and I saw what the fuck, and all of a sudden, was that Butcher that came flying across?
Yeah, that was Butcher that tackled her off the bed.
yeah,
that was so unnecessary.
Like, wait, what happened? Wait a
well,
minute.
think about it.
But it was beautiful at the same time.
She's a soup, and you got to remember what she did.
She was in no position to do anything at the moment.
I think she was in the right position to do something. So, you know, I mean,
the tackle was beautiful. I mean, he just keeps saying, it was awesome.
It was.
Yeah, I actually had to rewind and watch that twice because I was like, oh wow, he really took her out.
I'm sure you're not the only person who found that and watched it twice.
It was funny. But anyway, yeah, so they basically have her wrapped up like a Christmas present for Soldier Boy. Anthony, I need you to control your face.
You're making it too easy. Wrapped her like her Christmas present for Soldier Boy.
Then wrap her up.
Oh, okay.
Put a bow on
included.
So anyway, Butcher and
Marvin her chair.
And Hughie,
you saw her chair. Her
you know
chair
what?
was very...
Stop.
They tied her to the chair. I'm sure that wasn't her first time.
I hate y'all.
That's why she was sitting there all calm at first. She's like, yeah, it's gonna cost you extra. I mean, what are you guys doing here?
So anyway, Butcher, Marvin, and Hughie, they encounter Soldier Boy and they make a deal with him, or you know, they present a deal with him. They're like, hey, we gave you the Crimson Countess. I can't get it out. And they're like, we just require one thing. We just want you to kill Homelander for us. Okay. All right. Soldier Boy goes in, and of course she's playing the you're back. You haven't aged a day. And he's like, you have. I was like, oh. This is a man who is mad. And
he might be beyond anger.
Yeah, just maybe.
But you know what though? I'll take that back. I saw a little hurt too.
Oh, like, definitely. He was definitely hurt because really, like he really said, hurt. She was the love of his life. He wanted to have children with her.
Yeah, he loved her.
And it was all genuine. It's like he wasn't making it up. He really, really, really seemed like he was hurt.
Right.
Jensen Ackles is a pretty freaking good actor. I'll just say that.
You say this like I don't know this already.
Because his face and just like
his expression,
the pain, yeah, he just looked really hurt.
Yeah,
like you really did this to me.
Yeah, he was like, I loved you, and she was like, he said, what did he say? All those years that they burned me and that they pumped me full of poison. He kept hoping that she would come for him.
How many different movies and shows have you seen where people have said that hope is the absolute worst thing ever? And that's what it does to you.
Right.
Yep.
And he was like, because I still loved you. And she was like, I never loved you. I hated you. And I was like, oh, this parallels another scene that happened earlier in the episode with Homelander and Maeve. They had the same kind of conversation where Homelander was like, you know, basically, I knew what you were going through back then. We were both lonely, but we had each other. He was like, and I loved you in my own way. Was anything about us ever real? And she comes to him and she was like, I never loved you. As a matter of fact, I pitied you. And you can see it also on Homelander's face. He was hurt. He was hurt. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. But he was like, you have these two men who are the most powerful super beings of their times. And you see the parallels with them as far as both of them wanting to be loved, loving these people, and then finding out that these people didn't reciprocate. Not only did Crimson Countess not reciprocate, she worked with their team to give him to the Russians. Wow, can you imagine the type of hurt that would incur? I mean, the fact that he just burned her to a crisp in her chair and didn't decimate her like that building, I think she got off easy. I think she got off easy because of the fact that he did love her. And I think he was just too emotional because I feel like for Homelander, if he was in that situation, like if Maeve and them had given him to someone, the Russians, and they had been experimenting on him and torturing him for years, I think Homelander would have came back and he wouldn't have killed quickly. He would have drugged that shit out. But Soldier Boy doesn't. He blasts her, she dies.
He's done. He's ready for the next one.
Ready for the next one. And the thing about this is, like, outside what's happening with the group is that, of course, Butcher has taken the temporary V. Hughie has taken the temporary V. Marvin doesn't want to do any of this. He doesn't want to be working in conjunction with Soldier Boy. He doesn't want them taking the V. So Butcher kind of roofies him and knocks him out so that he's like, okay, yeah, you know what? We're not going to include you in this. So they roofie him. And then after all of this happens with Soldier Boy, Starlight comes and she realizes that Hughie has taken the temporary V again after he promised her he wouldn't. And then he goes off with Butcher and Soldier Boy to go after Homelander, even though she doesn't want him to. I was like, so you alienate two of the people on your team so that you can go after Homelander, which is kind of par for the course for Butcher. That's what he does. And that's what he's been doing for the last 10 years anyway, going after Homelander by any means necessary. But for Hughie, you know, I don't think it's a ego thing with Hughie in that sense, but Hughie is tired of feeling normal. He is tired of being the liability. He is tired of other people always having to save his ass and him not being to contribute in a meaningful way. You know, but the other thing about Hughie that I'm really not liking is he's so emasculated by Starlight's power that he's like, no, I have to be the one to save you. I'm doing this to help protect you. And she's like, dude, I don't need this. I need you alive. That's what I need. But I don't know. He's not getting it. And like I said, he runs off and it's about to be interesting now because now Soldier Boy is with Butcher and with Hughie. He's about to go after Homelander. So shit just got real. I mean, if Soldier Boy is going after everybody that was on his team, I think we're about to see a lot more members of Payback. Because who's dead? Gunpowder is dead. Crimson Countess is dead. You have who else? The twins.
The twins are left. Black Noir.
And I think was there one more? No, Gunpowder is already dead. Gunpowder.
Oh yeah, the mind.
Mastermind guy.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so because the The guy with the wings, he died back then.
Yep.
He got blown out to the sky.
He was the maybe
Deserve
he
that
was
shit.
doing that on purpose. Maybe he sacrificed himself for the greater good of turning Soldier Boy over to the
No, I think he was running.
Oh yeah, you're right. He was. He
got
was.
scared.
They splatted him like a fucking mosquito. Splat. Yep. This episode was a lot. It was a lot. But you know what's crazy?
Oh, we didn't talk about I am the CEO now.
Oh, Ashley.
Ashley. I think Ashley is gonna, I don't know, because that whole scene with the board at the beginning, I really thought Homelander was gonna slaughter them all. Because they were like basically saying, "You're an idiot. You don't even know what's going on." I mean, that's not what they said, but they were basically like,
Oh, that one woman, Maureen, yes.
Who's going to run the company? Like, who's going to make these decisions? You're going to make these decisions?
Yeah, the first two guys, they were basically ass kissers. You know, he was like, let's go around the table and introduce themselves. So they gave their names, and we're so excited to have you on, blah, blah, blah. And she said, before we go further in this meeting, we have such and such, and what are you going to do about that? And Homelander's like, and what is your name? As soon as he said that, she knew she fucked up. She knew that's one of those Morgan Freeman. At this point, Maureen knew she fucked up.
Yeah.
Because she kept trying to fix it, and she kept sticking her foot further and further in her mouth. And Ashley was like, yeah, Maureen, you sounded like you're sounding stupid. Get out. And he was like, yeah, Maureen, get out. And you saw her get up. She gathered her stuff and walked out like, oh my God, he's letting me walk out alive. Let me go. I'm surprised she didn't run out of that room. And
I don't
then
know.
he starts.
She could be like, he's an animal, so you don't want to run.
That well, yeah,
right.
Time.
And then the other person who spoke after her, you could hear it in the background while the ear ringing thing is going on with Homelander. And the guy is like, "We are so lucky to have such a, what did he say? Such a wonderful, competent person on the board." And I was like, that sounds condescending as hell. But what did he do? But of course, I think Homelander was tuning all of that out at that point. But yeah, so Ashley is the CEO now.
Yeah. And they put what's his name? The deep in charge of security. He starts firing people. Yeah, they're in trouble.
Crime analytics.
They're in trouble.
They're in a lot of trouble. Because when they were having that conversation where the former supervisor was talking and she was telling them, she was doing a very good job of like saying what she needed to say without saying what she needed to say. Like she was being very very gung-ho and it's time for me to move on and blah. And one of the chicks was like, she just kept looking like, is this the shit that we are dealing with? Like, for real? What?
Yeah.
And then of course Cassandra's over there mimicking everything that the Deep is saying. I'm telling you, the Deep is,
they're only saying the crime analytics division, that's where the money's made. That's the bread and butter.
At least they got donuts. I mean, at least they got cupcakes.
But this is where the money's made for them. This is where they decide where the suits go and who does what, and that's about the all good shit.
But how you about to do that with only 2 people working now?
That's all about the shit.
What was it? She said the Deep fired everyone because they had past tweets that were not, that showed that they were not team players, and I guess past tweets about Homelander. And I'm just like, well, if the goal is to tank Vought, you guys are doing it. That's what Homelander's doing. So I don't know. Like I said, the Deep, I think at this point, he's the one that's really trying to kiss Homelander's ass, especially because he's officially back on the 7 now. You know, A-Train is still trying to get there. And somehow I don't feel like that's going to happen for him now. He's not, yeah. Oh, the Deep, he gets on my nerves too. But I think, you know, his wife irks me more than he does. Because he's just a stupid puppet. That's basically all the Deep is. He is a puppet. So you kind of have to dislike the person who's holding the strings. That Cassandra, she is a piece of work. Like, what's her angle? What's the goal? Because the founder of the church is gone. He left the church. So, like, what is your angle now? You just trying to control him just to make things better for you, or
no? I think she sees herself as like his wife and his PR representative. Like, she's his PR person. She's trying to make things go for him. I think it's like that's. I think that's part of what. I think that was a reason why the church put her with him in the first place. Was PR. That's her thing, is PR. So that's what she's been trying to do, manage him. I think that's where her angle is just to make him invaluable and the best at what he does.
She's not doing a great job.
Well, she's doing better than he would have done on his own.
That's yeah, I guess that's true. That's true, but
he wouldn't be where he is if it wasn't for her. Eat the fucking octopus. he wouldn't
rest
be
in
where
peace,
he is.
Timothy. Oh. You know, I'm sitting here thinking there was so much going on in this episode. And we have Herogasm coming up. Like, literally, Herogasm is the next episode. That is the episode that everyone's been talking about. The promos for Herogasm. I'm telling you, this marketing team for this TV show, they all need a fucking raise. They have some of the best marketing for this show. Have you seen the promos for Herogasm?
Well, I tried to avoid them because I don't want to be spoiled. So
I don't think they've put anything in there that's like spoilery. But I mean, just even if you had no clue what the episode was about, just the title itself, Herogasm. Right. We're about to see a whole bunch of soups in some very interesting situations. Yeah. I don't know. Lori, how
I almost think this Crimson Countess thing was a warm-up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But that was just like an hors d'oeuvre, because you go from paper sex or pay-per-view, because it's not like she was even having sex with him. Like it's one of those things where it's just virtual. Herogasm, I have a feeling, is not going to be that clean.
You're going to ask me what was the difference between the comic book and the episode?
No, I'm just going to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much raunchiness and debauchery should we expect from this episode?
between an 8 and a 9.5.
Okay. Now, I did hear that they have done some different things with the show as far as a couple of changes from the comic. We'll discuss that on the next show. But the other thing too is I actually have a few copies of the Herogasm issue of The Boys. I got it at a comic book shop I went to a few weeks ago for another event. They had them on sale, so I grabbed a few. So I have enough copies for all of you if you need one. And then I don't know, we may do a giveaway for a few copies. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll post some trivia questions with the next episode and see if we can get some winners and send some not safe for work
Literature.
reading
Not safe for work
material, literature to some of our loyal listeners. So I think we'll do that. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
That would be really cool.
Did we miss anything?
Shout out to the show for giving us Homelander's first name.
John, really?
John.
Really?
John Homelander.
John?
Yes.
John?
Come on, John. He's like, don't you John me. I was of course he's a John. Like, that makes perfect sense.
I found it interesting that Soldier Boy's first name was Ben, given that that's not the first character named Ben that Jensen Ackles has played. Can anyone name the other Ben? I'll put that as a trivia question.
Well, it wasn't Smallville, was it?
If you can name the TV show where Jensen Ackles also played a character named Ben, I will send you.
Gilmore Girls?
No, that was Jared.
No, but we're not gonna say it because I'm gonna use that trivia question as one of our giveaways for the Herogasm issue of The Boys. So if you can name the other TV show where Jensen Ackles played a character named Ben, you will receive a copy of the Herogasm issue. So I'm going to put that on the episode when I post this, and we'll see how that goes. But you guys have any other comments about this episode of The Boys?
This actually, despite my fear of it being a musical episode, it actually turned out to be one of my favorite episodes. So, yeah.
Really now?
Yeah.
Don't judge a book by its cover, Anthony. Because you were dreading this episode.
I thought the whole episode was going to be musical number after musical number. Nope, just one towards the end. That was great.
Yeah.
I could do with that.
Yeah. All of the disparaging comments you had about musicals.
They were not disparaging. Don't do
disparaging.
that.
Yes, they were.
They were not disparaging.
They were.
Yes, they were. Very much disparaging.
Whatever.
But it was a great episode. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Laura, you've been quiet.
I like the episode. The only thing that I had a problem with is that when they started doing the musical number, I was like, oh, because I'm not the biggest fan, but it wasn't bad like Anthony said. The only other thing that was interesting to me is that when you got all of this, with Soldier Boy, they were showing the intro with the eye and all that. I kept thinking, this is something that Alan Moore, if he would have written, this would have done. It reminded me very much of certain Alan Moore stuff. So I thought that was interesting. Watchmen, but yeah, the experimentation, the lording over, with Osmandian and all that type of stuff. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that'll be it for coverage for this episode. Mike, I'm gonna go ahead and let you say it one more time before we close out.
You
and that's it for our
Soldier
show.
Boy up in this hole, blowing holes up in water homes.
No, you know what? And that's it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fandom Hybrid. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel and listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.